Welcome back, everybody, and this episode we are going to get the inner sill locked into place, the outer sill put into place, and this side buttoned up. Now, if you remember from last episode, we got the inner sill into place, etc. And what I've done is I've just used some Forstner clamps here to clamp this nice and tight, so that what I can do is I can put just a few spot welds, some stitches in there to lock it into place. Then what I'll be able to do is get to the inside where I drilled those holes, and I'll be able to weld those into place. And that will get us to the point where we are ready to put that inner part of this into place and make our seatbelt mount. So let's pull out the welder and let's get to welding. Now, I had to adjust this inner piece here. It was a little crooked. If you remember from the previous video, it was kind of just spot welded in the wrong place. The other thing I had to do was on the inside here, which is a little harder to see. I had to recut this. It was not sitting right. It wasn't sitting nice and tight. So that's been redone, and now it fits beautifully. So what I've done now is I've marked the hole where the seatbelt's gonna go, right there. And what I will now do, since this is nicely in place, I'm not gonna weld it yet. I'm going to make the seatbelt, heavy duty seatbelt part that welds on here. So let's get that made. Well, we got this piece put into place here, so you can see all the way through. And I drilled the hole. It fits nice and snug and tight. So once I've welded that inner piece into place there, I will be able to give this a good weld there, and that'll be the mount for the seat belt. So that's done now, and now the next thing to do is to actually weld in that inner part.
Hey!
All right, we are getting a door here. Dinah and Murray were just like so nice to drive this out from BC for me.
The green bag
So,
is the instructions of
oh,
the parts.
and there's even more parts. Look at this.
And instructions.
He even gave instructions, this guy. Look at this. Holy cow, I've got instructions on how to install the door. That's fabulous. So that's awesome. So the bugs are crazy, but I'm going to get this door out and let's take a look at it. Well, I want to take a moment away from doing this because I got a replacement door for my driver's side, which is really nice because I've been waiting about a year for this door since I found it on Marketplace there. And I had no idea how good of a shape it was in. There's a little bit of burn here where they cut the hinges. They didn't, rather than unbolt them, they just cut them off. And there's a little bit of rust around the around the door lock, and I don't have a key for it, but everything else looks really good on this door. This is going to get shaved anyways off of here. And the one thing that I thought was really great about this door, which I was not expecting in the least, I'm going to try to lift this up without having it wipe out on me. Oh, there we go. It has the inside door card. I was not expecting that at all. So that actually gives me a nice little template. And it came with the winder as well as the pull handle for closing the door, this is all stuff I don't have. I think I have a window winder, but I don't have a handle or anything. It's stuff that I was going to need to order. So I'm really pleased about that, and it just means that the driver door that I've got over here, that's the passenger, you can sort of see the quality of the driver door. It's got anywhere from a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch of Bondo on it. This door was definitely hit and repaired. I'll be able to pull off some of the stuff off it in case the one that I bought here doesn't work, or if I need to fabricate something. He also included a whole bag of goodies, other parts to go inside the door, but I'm pleased about that. So for, I think the $60 I spent on this door, it is going to save me a lot of time and hassle. So anyway, just thought I would take a quick break and show you that before we move on. So where I'm at right now with this is I have that inner piece here ready to go at the back of the passenger side. So that inner piece is ready to go, as well as I made this big heavy part that holds the seatbelt nut in place. So next on the list now, I still have to do the spot welds all the way along the inside of the inner sill. So I think that's probably the next thing that I'm going to do now, is get those spot welds into place, and then we'll keep working on this and try and get all this buttoned up. Okay, so I've got that spot welded most of the way. There's a little bit at the front that I need to be able to actually clamp it, and I don't have a long enough clamp. I got to figure something out to bring that together, but I will be seam welding it along here, stitch welding it better along here. The back side here, you saw I just ground that down so that the piece can fit back into place, and that's going to be the next thing that we put in place right away. Okay, so now that I got that piece in on the inside, and I've got it ground away there, I still have to weld around here a bit, but now that I've got that into place, I'm going to weld in the seatbelt bolt bracket that will just tie everything together, and that'll also give me a heavier bead of weld here so I can do a bit more grinding on the inside. While I was cleaning here, getting some of this undercoating off, I noticed it's the same as it is on the other side. So I'm going to have to get all that undercoating taken apart and at some point and fix that. But right now we're going to get this piece into place and then move forward from there. So there we go. That piece is completely welded into place now, and I got a good solid seatbelt bracket in there, along with the that special nut. It is one of those special nuts that when you put it's it works the same as a locking nut, except that there's no plastic in there. It's all metal so that it's nice and stiff. So next on the agenda here is now going to be getting the outer sill into place and just making sure that everything fits nice and well there. And then we will work from there. I just noticed I've got some, is that rust? No, it's just paint flaking. I still have a little spot there to weld, but again, a lot of touching up to do. So let's move this down and get the outer sill into place now. Oh, that's wobbly. Right, well, so I moved it back a little bit, as you can see here. I had to do a little bit of trimming because the radius on this inside corner here at the front, where there's the tab that's from this piece, that piece just comes at a 90, whereas this one has got quite a soft radius to it. I guess the original had a tighter radius on it, but as you can see, the gap here is, within. That's a British standard, unit of tolerance, right? Yeah, I kind of can get my finger in there. That's good. So I am going to test the rear fender just to make sure it kind of fits here as well, and that they're fairly even. And if they both fit, then I would consider, the doors okay. So let's do that. We can make that work. I say with very little confidence. That's fitting the doors is a future me problem. So yeah, let's get this fender off. So what I'd like to do actually is I'm going to pull the car out and I'm going to measure from this point right here, on that side to the back, and the same here. And I just want to make sure that, both of those are the same. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the bottom from here to here on this side and on that side and make sure that they are the same, or at least within a reasonable British standard unit of tolerance. Okay, so I confirmed that measurement, and yes, this side is 3 millimeters bigger than that side there. So I think that is actually pretty good for a 1968 car. 3 millimeters is not something I'm going to be terribly worried about. So at least I know that my doors are going to fit. I think I just jinxed myself. But I'm pretty happy about that. By time I finish everything up, you won't really notice the difference. Yeah, so this is held in place. So now I have to take it off, grind away all the metal that in places where I'm going to weld it, and I have to get ready to spot weld it across the top here, stitch weld it along here, and again, as I did before, I'm going to have to bend this out. Here it's nice and tight. Here it's not bad, but I think it could be better. So I'm going to be bending this up and out before I bend it down. You noticed I had to use these Jorgensen clamps to compress it. This outer sill is not nearly as good as the other one. I don't know whether it was a slight misstamp or just the die is worn or what have you. But it's a little spread out. So but that can be fixed. So let's get this piece off, grind it away, and keep moving on. If you remember from the other side, what I did was I filled these holes and then put captive nuts welded onto the inside. So that's what I'm going to do the same on this side, so that I'm not risking water getting inside this thing, right? Because there's nowhere for it to drain. It's kind of a weird design that they have these special clips that hold a nut in place, but all the water spray coming from your tire ends up in the fender, running down into here, going onto the inside of this where the caps are spot welded. And the only way for water to get out is evaporating through this hole and that hole. And then, the holes that they've got in the top side of the inner sill, which is just a really weird design. There's also holes here, that let evaporation of water out, but obviously does not do a very good job. So these holes need to be filled, and those ones need to be filled. So I'm just going to get on with that. So I just make out some little pieces here to fill these little rectangular holes where these specialty clips used to go into, and those clips used to hold the nuts behind those the openings here. And I'm just trimming them to fit really tight so that when I weld them, they use very little filler rod, and take care to tack the corners first, make sure they don't move. Then I tack in the captive nuts on the back side and give everything a grinding, and we're ready to go. Okay, so much like the other side, I got these nuts welded in and ground down. So that's ready to go. So now that is done, we need to actually do stitch welding along the inside of there, as well as, you can see I put a big clamp on this in order to hold it. So now I'm going to get in there and give that a stitch weld before we put on the outer sill and start to spot weld that. So as you can see here, the tip is kind of, it heats up a lot. So it's kind of melted the, copper. So I'm just going to repoint it. Dark in here. Seem to have blown the fuse again.
One debt to society later.
Okay, got the circuit breaker back on. Let's do that again. One more at the front. Well, yeah, so a little bit of drama popping the fuse there. But as you can see, it does a really nice job, for the $120 that thing cost. Just so much easier than drilling and welding, like this, which you saw on the other side. So now what I have to do is I got to weld along here and along this seam, and the back along this seam. And yeah, this panel just was not stamped nearly as well as the other side. I don't know what happened, but it's just not golden. But I'm probably going to MIG weld these just because there's so much to fill, and the MIG welder will just make short work of that. But first things first, I do want to I want to get I'll MIG weld this as well, but I want to get these TIG welded. So maybe I'll MIG weld first and then I'll TIG. Hey, well, that actually went pretty good. I'm getting better at MIG welding. It's not the greatest MIG welder, and it's only running at 110. It's not a super great welder, but it works, and it works quite well actually. Once I clean things up, these will get ground down. These ones I'm not going to really bother. I might give them a bit of a once over. They're going to get rubberized like crazy. But that is done now. So now, and you saw that I ground away here just to give myself some more room with the paint, because I've been, learning how far the heat spreads, and, I just, with the smell of paint and everything, I might give this just here a little bit more. I've already got it done here, just to give myself a bit of extra room while I give this a TIG weld. So let's get going on that. Well then, that's pretty much done. Ignore that little blow through there, and I got a little bit more welding to do around here. But what I'm going to do is I will get that once I fill in this back piece here and do some of this. But that I would call welded. I'm not too worried about this right here. I know I did it on the other side, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Again, this will get caulked. Anyway, so now what I need to do is I need to just open this up a little bit so that I can spray some rubberized undercoating on the inside and run a bead of caulking on there. So yeah, that I'm just going to wait for this to cool down a little bit. But that's next on my agenda. Okay, I'm going to get back at it another day. So now that this has been welded, it's cooled down, I'm going to spread this open so that I can get some rubberized undercoating in there, and I'm going to get some tape onto here to stop some rubberized undercoating where I need to spot weld. Let's get working on that now.
Okay, so I got some blocks in here just to spread this open, and then I'm just using masking tape to mask off the areas that I don't want to get this rubberized undercoating sprayed onto. Once I'm done that, I use a bunch of clamps. This part isn't perfectly fitting. It's, it needs a bit of finessing, but I use these clamps, and then you'll see here I'll grab my spot welder, and as I move along, I'll move the clamps closer together so that I get a really tight pinch where I'm spot welding, so there's no gap, and I just work my way from one end to the other, and that's that.
Okay, that is all spot welded now. And it's got a little bit of it's actually pretty straight. There's a little bit of a wobble in it, but like I said, this sill wasn't exactly in the greatest shape, and it's kind of a weird size. So you'll see when I try and plug in the rear and front caps how bad it is. So Anyway, let's get on with that. So much like the other side, I've had to customize these end caps in order to fit. So I've just trimmed it, to fit the part. Yeah, same with this one. Just yeah, they just weren't perfect. And this here, it was stamped kind of weird. So it's really the shape, or the shape and size of this just isn't right. So yeah, I'm going to weld those together now. With a TIG welder, and then we can fit them into place, and the fit should be good enough to get a few spot welds into it, but likely I'll likely have to TIG weld. Anyways, it's going to get stitched, so much like the bottom here. But yeah, so let's get those done so that we can spot weld them, and then we'll be able to get this piece in, which will get TIG welded. Right, well, so that went in pretty good now that it's been fixed. And the front one went in really nicely as well. So now that they are right, I still have, you can see here, like, it just wasn't right. So I'm going to hammer that. This is going to be covered by fender. I'm going to pinch that down, and just make it sit nice and snug when I spot weld it. So I may as well get into that and just spot weld these into place and go from there. Well then, so aside from knocking this into place and just doing a bit of cleanup on the metal and a bit of banging and trimming, the back looks really nice. Same thing. So we have to do this patch, but yeah, I'm happy with where this has gotten to. So yeah, I'll just got to finish up that patch. But I think that might be it for this week. Well, that is really all I've got time for this week. There's a little bit of touching and stuff that needs to be done, but man, it is just sweltering today, and I'm pretty much out of time. So that pretty much is the passenger side sill done. There's just that one piece at the back that still needs to be finished, but I would call that job done. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking around. This was a longer video because I'd already done this on the other side. I'm probably gonna have a lot of stuff here that is different than what I did on the other side. I'm going to try and find stuff so it's not just a repetition, but I mean, left side, right side, driver's side sill, passenger side sill, it's the same thing. Anyway, that takes care of that, so I'm really happy about it. Now, next time, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do now that I've got that done. I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I think I will probably end up looking at some other places that need to be fixed. Yeah, so thank you so much for sticking around as long as you did. I don't know which side I'm putting it on, but like, subscribe, and notification bell. All right. Thank you so much. See you next time.